Bonjour. As-tu faim?
Oui, j'ai faim. Qu'aurions nous cuisiner?
Oui, oui. So today on Between the Eats.
Welcome to our French Bistro.
When I visit a French bistro, I love to have the mussels, so we're definitely making that.
Okay.
What else are we gonna make?
How about steak frites?
Oh, so
A
good.
classic, and we're gonna do it with a Between the Eats twist, of course.
Of course.
So let's jump into the steaks.
Good.
Right here we have two examples of pretty much the same steak. This is a New York strip cut. And as you can see, this side, this is exactly what you get when you are buying them at your grocery store or your local butcher. And then a day later, through a dry aging process, it'll look like this. And if you touch that, you can see all the moisture that's in this steak. And by here, it gets more like a leather and it's a little drier. And that's gonna help with the cooking process.
Okay.
So it's kind of a two-step.
So how do we do this?
Well, it's kind of a two-step process.
Okay.
First, you're gonna take your steak when you get it from
Okay.
your butcher or your local grocery, and you're gonna cover with salt. And what this salt does is it leaches out some of the moisture in the steak. It's also gonna help tenderize your steak for you. Now, it's a process that you don't wanna leave the salt on too long because what happens is it pulls the moisture out of the steak and then it pulls the salt into the steak. So if you leave it on too long,
Salty
you're gonna-
and dry.
Yes, and that's not what you're looking for here. So you're gonna dry it like this. So the general rule is an hour per inch. So these are about an inch thick steak. We're gonna leave that salt on for an hour. And of course, you're gonna rest this in your refrigerator. Okay? After it's been on for an hour, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this over to your sink and you're gonna rinse all this salt off, okay? Get a rack, with the steak on the rack. And the purpose of this rack is to get the airflow around the steak. And then what you're gonna do is leave it in your refrigerator for a day, uncovered. So while the steaks are aging in the fridge, we're gonna start on the potatoes.
These aren't your normal skinny French fries, huh?
Not at all, and that's the Between the Eats twist we're doing. We're gonna do a nice chunky French fry, and that's Frites
Cool.
French fry. So what we're gonna do is cut them into these nice chunky rectangular shapes and get them in cool salted water.
Okay.
And once they cook, what we're going to do is put them on a flat tray, put them in the freezer. The little trick to a really crispy French fry of any style is to get them very cold before you get them into the fryer. And since these are so thick, it's best to get them completely frozen and then drop them into a fryer. And that's exactly what you want. You're doing exactly what we're looking for right
So
there.
the technique really is just taking cuts off each side and making it into a rectangle.
Correct.
Cutting the ends off and then cutting the rectangle into fours.
Into smaller rectangles. Exactly.
Exactly.
And then once you have them cut, we're just gonna take them, place them in the water. Make sure we season the water with salt. So you just wanna bring the water up to a simmer and let them stay at a nice gentle simmer until the potatoes cook to a point where they're soft and almost fall apart. Right after that, put them in the freezer until they're frozen. And tell us about these mussels.
Well, we're gonna make them with two staples of the French cuisine, shallots
Okay.
and tarragon. If you could just cut up a shallot.
Sure.
We're gonna get some oil going in the pan. We're gonna get the shallots and garlic in first, just until they get a little translucent. So we're gonna heat this up, then throw the mussels in. Shallots are part of the onion family, but they're not as pungent as an onion.
Correct.
So I think it's perfect for the mussels. So you don't want anything to take away from it, you just want to add to it.
Correct. So we'll just get
Thank
those
you.
into the pan. That sizzle's always what you're looking for. That means your pan's ready to go. Looking for some garlic as well.
Yes, please.
Show off.
You just want to cook these until they become translucent. Cook them up a little bit.
Then you're gonna go into the pan with the mussels, is that
Yes.
correct? You're also building a flavor basement right now by slightly caramelizing and extracting all the flavors from the garlic and the shallot into the oil. Oil is what kind of carries your flavor throughout your dish.
Yes. All right, let's get the mussels in there. They look so beautiful. Perfect. And the mussels are gonna be done when they open up. We're gonna add some white wine, which is really gonna wanna get the steam going. So let's add the white wine.
And that's what we're doing when we cook today. We're steaming these mussels, so the liquid is very important.
You'll see when we get the lid on. Okay. Some pepper.
And some tarragon.
Salt. Good. And then we're gonna get the lid on, let them steam up.
And while the mussels are steaming, what they're doing when they open up, they actually have natural juices inside, which is called liquor, and it's going to release that into the wine and into the juices of the shallots and garlic, and really creates the flavor profile of the dish.
Yummy, yummy. Can't wait. So let's take the lid off. It does not take long. The mussels are opened up, which means that they're ready to go. We're gonna add just a little bit of butter.
A lot of butter, like we do in the restaurants.
Yeah, that's what makes it taste so good, right?
That's right, a lot of butter, a lot of salt.
Okay, now what we wanna do is just continuously stir with the butter so that the butter does not actually separate and the oils come out, so that it just emulsifies, right?
Correct. You just want that sauce to emulsify and kind of get nice and rich and creamy for you.
So let's just try to mix these up. Stir it up. I love that creamy sauce. I could eat it all day long with a nice baguette. Ooh, do we have a baguette?
We will.
Oh, good. I was gonna say, it'd be so good. So let's get started with our steak frites.
Yes, and we have them out of the freezer, and like I said, rock solid. And the reason we want to do that, just to revisit, is to get that really crispy outside and soft inside that you want with any great French fry. So let's get them in the oil.
Great. So the best steaks, like grilled, medium rare in the middle, charred on the outside. Are we gonna go outside?
No. There's actually a French technique, and for my money, I will take this steak over a grilled steak any day.
Really?
Not that a grilled steak is a bad thing. I'm not saying that, please don't be insulted, but after you learn this technique, you'll never eat your steak a different way.
Wow.
All
okay,
right.
so show us how.
All right, so first off, we're gonna season the steak up really nice with pepper and salt. So then you want a nice hot pan with a nice heavy bottom. And we're just gonna add our oil to the pan.
Okay.
And this is a French pan-seared steak, which at any really nice restaurant, this is exactly how they're gonna do your steak.
Great.
I have a little technique that I like to do, which is a little secret, and it is, you wanna turn your steak every 15 to 30 seconds while cooking it with this method.
Just each side, back and forth.
Just keep flipping it back and forth. And the reason you do this, it's almost like having your steak on a rotisserie, and the juices will keep flowing from one side of the steak to the other as it builds the crust, and you'll get a perfect medium rare in your steak doing it this way. So as you can see, as we're turning, we're building that crust on the steak. And part of the reason this steak is cooking up so nicely is that we dry aged the steak ahead of time.
Okay.
We removed a lot of the moisture out of the steak, and what that helps you do is create this beautiful crust on the outside of the steak. If you want to start adding some flavor to the pan, you want to get your garlic in the pan. You want to get a little rosemary into the pan.
And why do you wait to put it in?
We don't want it to burn up when the pan is at its hottest point with the oil. You're getting that beautiful crust.
Looks great.
And then what you do...
No way. We're adding more butter?
More butter. And what this is...
This is healthy. People at home.
This is any good restaurant. This is exactly how you're going to get your steak. And what it is butter basted. They get the rosemary and garlic into that butter. That infuses it. And as you baste your steak, those flavors are working their way through.
thank you for joining us today in our French bistro. We had so much fun. If you love the episode, please subscribe.
And remember to share with your friends.
A votre santé.